What are spontaneous unaffiliated volunteers, or SUV? For the most part, spontaneous unaffiliated volunteers are individuals not connected to any recognized response organization. Affiliated volunteers are registered, credentialed, and trained by a known volunteer organization, such as the American Red Cross. Why can't we use spontaneous volunteers if we need them? While most SUVs are people of goodwill who show up at every disaster and just want to help, they, unfortunately, might also include criminals, pedophiles, con artists, and those who don't actually have the credentials they claim. Why don't we just use affiliated volunteers for all emergencies? In an ideal world, incident commanders would only need to deploy affiliated, trained responders and volunteers, such as the Medical Reserve Corps or CERTs, Community Emergency Response Teams. The reality is that no community has enough responders and affiliated and credentialed volunteers standing by to manage a large-scale disaster. And regional disasters mean that mutual aid may be impeded or not available. Why plan for spontaneous volunteers? We know from experience that unaffiliated volunteers are going to appear during a disaster. Managing these unaffiliated volunteers can take valuable personnel away from the actual disaster response. All-hazard pre-event planning around managing the many different types of volunteers can reduce the number of SUVs and allow for faster, safer, and more effective use of volunteers. What type of emergencies will require SUVs? Large-scale emergencies, such as those involving mass medication dispensing, mass evacuation, and mass sheltering, are likely to require significant private additional resources beyond those available through traditional mutual aid agreements. Also, for short but critical time periods, disasters often require volunteers with special skills such as language and cultural competencies, bus drivers, mediators, mental health practitioners, and child care specialists to supplement existing first responder resources. How can volunteers become affiliated? There are many volunteer opportunities in Western Mass where individuals can become affiliated, trained, and credentialed. These include MA Responds, the Medical Reserve Corps, Disaster Animal Response Teams, Community Emergency Response Teams, volunteer firefighters, fire auxiliaries or support groups, police auxiliaries, the American Red Cross, the Salvation Army, faith groups, and other community-based organizations that have credentialed and trained volunteers. How do all these different volunteer organizations coordinate? Connecting organizations and businesses to the local emergency response system is the mission of the COAD, Community Organizations Active in Disasters. In Western Mass, we have two COADs, one in the Pioneer Valley and one in Berkshire County. Connecting with and supporting the COADs before the next emergency can help responders reach organizations that have affiliated volunteers and other private resources. What kinds of resources or tools are available to help manage volunteers? There are several useful resources available online to help manage volunteers of all types. The Western Region Homeland Security Advisory Council has an SUV toolkit on its website. The Council also has an SUV training series to help communities manage volunteers. In addition, several other organizations, such as the United Way, Points of Light, and others, have online volunteer management tools. Next steps. What should we be doing now? Encourage community members to become affiliated with a recognized volunteer organization before the next disaster. Update local and regional all-hazard plans to include strategies for managing all types of volunteers and donations. Finally, prepare yourself, your family, and your organization for emergencies by having a plan, making a kit, and staying informed. For more information, please visit one of the Council's websites.